Hey guys, this is Andrea from Creative-Flame.org, and today I'm going to be talking about what to do when you reach a crossroads and you feel like giving up. There will come a time in anything that you decide to pursue where you will reach a crossroads and you will be tempted to quit. Hurdles that seemed insignificant before suddenly seem insurmountable and impossible to overcome, and your molehills turn into your mountains, and suddenly you're questioning if it's even possible to continue on at all. So, do you give up or do you keep on going? Can you remain uncompromisingly focused on your goal? Let me tell you about one of the times that I arrived at the crossroads and how I handled it. So, when I was in my late 20s, I became absolutely obsessed with tribal fusion belly dance. There was a new studio in Albuquerque, which is where I lived at the time, that had just opened up, and I really resonated with the instructor's style. I absolutely fell in love with the dance, with the antiquity and the beauty of the costuming, the exotic and mysterious nature of the movements, and the connection it gave me to a greater sense of culture and of history. I started to attend every class that was available, and I found myself obsessing about the dance when I wasn't there. As my passion grew, I started to imagine what it would be like to open up my own dance studio. I decided to undergo a teacher training program, and I started spending all of my free time either researching the dance or practicing it at home. Soon I started to travel to faraway places like San Francisco and Seattle so that I could take workshops with well-renowned belly dancers, and I started to branch off and explore African dance and flamenco dance, thinking that this would help deepen my understanding of the roots of belly dance. So about 3 years into the pursuit of this particular dream, I reached a crossroads of my own. The studio that I had been studying at promptly closed down, so the next step in the pursuit of this particular goal would be to find further teaching experience at one of the other studios in town. Ultimately, this prospect terrified me. I was really scared of going into an unfamiliar environment with unfamiliar people, studying a style that might differ from the one that I had learned, and mostly I was scared of competing against other instructors who had already established their student base within that particular studio. I sat at home and I wrote a huge assortment of lesson plans and I strategized, but ultimately I never developed the courage to approach a different studio and arrange to teach classes there. Pretty silly, right? It was a petty, trivial, small hurdle, and yet I allowed myself to be sunk by what I like to call the quicksand. The quicksand is that minefield of difficulty that you inevitably come across as you're working towards a goal. Whether it be discouragement through an initial failed attempt, arriving at a specific task that terrifies you, or being required to do something that you don't feel capable of doing, the quicksand marks the moment when you've lost your momentum and have begun to sink downward into the spiral of self-doubt. This is the crossroads. And I promise, however many challenges you have already overcome, there will come a point where your inner resolve and your tenacity will be put to the test. This is the place where most people give up. This is the place where most people throw in the towel and decide that it is impossible to keep going on. Is it? Henry Ford says that whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. So in that sense, it's kind of up to you. Remember that the Grand Canyon was not created in a day, and its immense beauty was not carved or sculpted at random. All things take time. All natural processes take a good deal of time. It all comes down to grit. How determined are you to push through and to succeed? Resolve to never quit. There is a universal principle that says that the sun will come up right after the darkest threshold of night. When you come to a crossroads, just know that things will start to seem feasible again. If you can just push through the darkness, you are bound to come back around to the light. So what do you do when you start to sink into the quicksand? How do you get out? Let's go over some specific strategies. Identify specifically what the hurdle is. What is at the root of the problem? Is it fear? Is it lack of belief in yourself? Get straight to the root of the obstacle and uncompromisingly deal with it so that it doesn't trip you up in the future. Stick to the plan. Even if you aren't experiencing the results that you wanted or that you initially expected, keep taking action. If you need to tweak your process or accommodate unforeseen circumstances, that's okay, but just keep the momentum going. Make it a game. What is one of the things that people who survive disaster scenarios have in common? They make survival into a game. The best way to deal with stress is to see it as a problem to solve, not as a threat that's going to destroy you. Seek out your friends. A real friend will support you, encourage you, and lift you up when you start to sink. You will know a true friend when in your most vulnerable moments, they hold a hand out and are able to pull you up and out. Acknowledge small wins. Take a moment to appreciate all that you have already accomplished, all of the victories that have already been won in the process of getting you to where you are right now. You may not have won the Nobel Prize yet, but recognizing that you are closer now to this goal than you ever were before can help you to stay motivated. Weed out any discouraging thoughts. Turn the volume down on self-doubt. Stick to the plan and focus your mental energy on the task at hand. Turn the volume up on action and optimism. The next time you arrive at the crossroads and your tenacity and inner resolve are put to the test, just push yourself over that seemingly insurmountable hurdle. And to wrap things up, I just want to share with you a quote by Helen Keller, which says that one can never be content to creep when one has the impulse to soar. All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you want to see what else I'm up to, please come visit me at Creative-Flame.org. And if you like the video, please like and share it. Thanks so much. See you soon.